Hello everyone, Fred here. In this installment of TPP Dynamite, I'm going to be explaining my own humble opinion about what happened to Supergirl in the Young Justice universe and how she came to be one of Darkseid's female furies by the end of Season 4. First things first though, if you haven't already, let me encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I post film, book, and TV series reviews. I do opinion pieces on entertainment, news, and affairs. I'm also an author of adult and young adult mystery novels. I just released a new short mystery called The Intruder. There's a link to it in my video description below, and I encourage you to check it out as well. With that in mind and without further ado, I'm going to just jump right into it. So I was prompted to make this video after watching another YouTube video recently that was asking fans of Young Justice to speculate on how Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, came to be exiled to the Phantom Zone and why she apparently agreed to work for Darkseid as one of his female furies at the end of Young Justice Phantoms. As of now, I don't know if we'll ever get a Season 5 of Young Justice to officially tie off Season 4's Supergirl cliffhanger. Really, even if we did get one, I'm not sure if the Season 5 would address the cliffhanger. Greg Weisman, the show's creator, developed quite an appetite during the show's last 2 seasons for stalling or ignoring major plot points that interested fans, or resolving them off-screen so that he could give more on-screen focus to plot points about religion, politics, queerness, and other issues that no one wanted to get from a superhero TV show. But still, I think the answers to those earlier Supergirl questions that I mentioned are fairly easy to deduce going by details that were established in Young Justice Phantoms, as well as some details that Greg Weisman himself released regarding Supergirl since Young Justice Phantoms finished airing. So first, Greg Weisman has confirmed that the Supergirl who appeared in the post-credits scene at the end of Young Justice Phantoms is biologically about 14 years old, although she'd chronologically be much older due to having been in the Phantom Zone, a place where no one ages or dies, for the decades stated during the post-credits scene at the end of Young Justice Phantoms. Being that Supergirl is that young, it's very unlikely that she did any sort of criminal act that would have been sufficient to get her sentenced to the Zone, a place generally reserved for hardened adult criminals, especially given that Supergirl's father, Zor-El, was stated to be Krypton's chief prosecutor, basically a head lawman who was largely responsible for arranging punishments for Krypton's criminals. You'd think that even in the unlikely event that the man's own daughter, a literal child, did something worthy of being sentenced to do time in the Zone, he likely would have arranged for a more lenient punishment befitting her age or lack thereof. So it's far more likely to me that Supergirl was sent into the Phantom Zone by her father Zor-El, but for her own protection, probably when Krypton was being destroyed 40 years prior to Young Justice Phantoms. And that would make sense because Zor-El, again being chief prosecutor, would doubtless have had access to Phantom Zone technology. Young Justice, of course, has never exactly produced a clear picture of what the final days of Krypton were like, but it was probably a very chaotic and hectic period of time. I think it's very likely that amidst that madness, Zor-El got the idea to send his daughter into the Phantom Zone so that she wouldn't be destroyed alongside Krypton. Perhaps he was planning to escape Krypton himself by other means and to free Kara once he reached another safe planet. Or there could be another explanation. It's been established in the Young Justice universe that Superman's father, Jor-El, had allies on New Genesis, and that there was at least one Phantom Zone projector on New Genesis. So maybe Zor-El was planning on not escaping Krypton himself, but on saving Kara by leaving her in the Zone and having one of his brother's New Genesian allies to release Supergirl from the Zone in the safety of New Genesis. It's not a far-fetched idea, and fun fact, one permutation of that idea was actually held out in prospect by Superman's father, Jor-El, in the first episode of Superman the Animated Series, In that episode, he tried and failed to convince Krypton's rulers to send the whole planet's population into the zone, to leave the Phantom Zone projector with one Kryptonian, to let that Kryptonian take a small spaceship to a habitable new planet suitable for life while Krypton was being destroyed, then to have that lone Kryptonian release everyone else from the Phantom Zone onto that new safe planet. And this would effectively have saved everyone from Krypton from being destroyed when Krypton was destroyed. But maybe just like in Superman the Animated Series, things didn't work out that way in the Young Justice universe. Maybe Zor-El never had time to contact anyone about freeing Supergirl after he sent her into the zone. Maybe he never had time to escape himself and be the one to free her on another safe planet. Maybe he was killed on Krypton before he could do any of that. Either way, I feel like that's a guess that's as solid as any for how Supergirl ended up stuck in the Phantom Zone in Young Justice. As for how and why she came to be seemingly willing to work for Darkseid as one of the female Furies, I think the answer to that one is much easier. It's been established in Young Justice that the Phantom Zone tends to warp the minds of people who remain there for any prolonged period of time, especially when those people don't have the benefit of a community to help them survive the zone's psychologically damaging effects. General Zod and his army survived it by staying in fellowship with each other, embracing a mob mentality of loyalty to General Zod, and staying busy by building forts across the zone, besides which those Kryptonians were all developed adults as well as seasoned soldiers. Supergirl, again, was roughly 14 when she went into the zone. She was a kid, and General Zod's people most likely did not feel very inclined to include her in their community. Seeing as how it's heavily implied in Young Justice Phantoms that they viewed Kara's father and uncle as the reason for why they were in the zone in the first place. So it's very likely that she spent her decades in the zone either totally alone or in the isolated captivity of General Zod's army. That's a possibility as well. And with that frame of reference, it's very easy to see a scenario in which Supergirl was manipulated by Granny Goodness into becoming a female Fury after the Light removed her from the zone and handed her over to Apocalypse. I mean, Superboy was in the zone for just a few months and came out as essentially a mentally deranged animal enslaved to General Zod's will. So you can just imagine how easy it would be for Granny Goodness, who's already a master of mind controlling and psychologically manipulating full-grown adults like Nightwing and Black Lightning, to woo over Supergirl, who's a literal child who spent decades by herself in the Phantom Zone. Anyway, whether I'm right or wrong, this all makes for very interesting discussion, and seeing a resolution to the Supergirl cliffhanger is one of the few reasons why I would like to see a Young Justice Season 5, as long as Greg Weisman and the rest of his creative team don't treat Supergirl's mind control arc with the same slapdash negligence that they did in telling Tara Markov's similar story in Young Justice Outsiders, because that really is one of my major concerns regarding Supergirl in Young Justice after seeing her in the cliffhanger post-credit scene from Phantoms. The seeming similarities between her story and Tara's, like they're both blonde and beautiful members of their society's upper echelon. They were both apparently kidnapped and manipulated at very tender ages by people who intended to use their power for evil. For Pete's sake, their names even rhyme. So I'm just hoping that Greg Weisman and Young Justice's other creatives learn from their mistakes and get it right this time if they ever get the chance to do Season 5. Maybe have Supergirl and Tara bond over their similar life stories and experiences, but Supergirl's story needs to be treated much better than that abysmal Judas Contract knockoff that defiled Tara's story in Young Justice Outsiders. Especially given how long the fans have been begging for Supergirl to show up in Young Justice in the first place, her character needs to be treated with far more respect. At any rate, that's just my opinion. Let me know yours. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Are your feelings more complex? Sound off in the comment section below. Meanwhile, if you like this video and made it this far, don't forget to leave a like, click subscribe, ring that bell, and hey, follow me on social media as well. So long.